Today we have a very interesting topic and we're going to be discussing about this Azimio and Kenya Kwanza politics going on, though the country is already working, but others feel like there's still a lot to be done and other people to be pushed. Now I'm going to be talking to my friends Dennis and Alex, so we're going to hear what they're going to say about, we're going to talk specifically about Jalas and what we think about him and the meeting that they had at the State House. Now I'm gonna start from my very good friend who really likes politics. So we're gonna be doing kind of we're gonna be analyzing what he has or the whole situation, and then we're gonna know what to come up with. So make sure you guys stay tuned. So they know. What do you think of the Jalas and Ruto? The Jalas, Ruto, and the Azimio scenario?
For me, first of all, I would say this, that the issue surrounding Jalango visiting State House has a lot of dimensions that we can look at. Number one, we must understand that Jalango came into politics not as a politician. We all know that he was a comedian. So this is someone who was looking for how best he can live his life, how best he can realize his dreams, not necessarily in the political world, but he saw best that he can survive in the political world from the influence that he had. So, number one, let me talk about Azimio. As per now, I cannot say that there is something very tangible, very important that Raila Odinga is doing. We have a government in place, and every sober politician will look for where his or her people will benefit. For Jalango doesn't want to fail in his first term as a Langata MP. And the only way you can get development is to align yourself with the sitting government. The only thing that Raila can do to Jalango is invite him to rallies, demonstrations, and meetings, and picketing. And so it was right for Jalango to do that, according to me. You understand, given that there are so many wrangles in ODM right now. Mbadi wants to resign as the chairman due to the minority leadership that was given to Opiyo and I. And just yesterday, I had a recording from Mbadi saying that when he resigns from ODM, he has nothing to lose. And so ODM is now left with people who are, I can call it cows, as Junet Mohammed once said. Cows of Raila Odinga. And surprisingly enough, Junet Mohammed is not even in the demonstration, so he changed from being a cow to someone sober. So what I can say is that the people who are still seated with Raila in demonstrations are the Jeshi la Baba, the Nuru Wakangas, people who just allege to Raila Odinga the loyalty, but at the same time they know that they are doing something that will not bring anything to the common wananchi. So the focus right now, to make it short, is the common wananchi. If you see that the government is welcoming you and it will, the invite that you're going to State House will bring development, just go.
Now, Alex, do you think on this issue, do you think Azimio or ODM is falling apart?
I think Azimio, I was looking at the current Raila. He has presented himself as someone who is more radical. I don't know whether it's because of not succeeding the last elections, but he's now more vocal. There are chances of causing more systemic problems of implementation more than politics used to be. But when I look at Jalango, Jalango he's a very street smart guy. He has managed to push his brand from being a comedian to being an influencer to becoming a politician. He's very smart. So there are chances he's going to Ruto, not because he doesn't like Raila or he's not loyal to Raila, but he wants to attain certain level of development in his constituency then he'll find a strategy of making sure he's in good terms with Raila towards the end of his term, because at the end of the day, he knows that he needs to get back to that seat. And we know from Lang'ata has been a stronghold of Raila.
Yeah.
So he has to make sure that even as he does his alliances with Ruto and such, he's still keeping good ties with Raila.
So
but I find what my friend has given us very insightful in terms of what Jalango is doing. So I would agree.
So do you think Jalango is juggling between being a good politician, that is, let us say, by wanting to work for his people and not wanting to fail Azimio? So he's juggling between being a good politician and not failing the party. So he's using Ruto as a common ground because one has to be using the other. I want you guys to look at this. I want you to be looking at this critically. Once somebody is using the other person.
But then again, I remember there's a time that even before Ruto was elected as the president, Jalango invited him to, I don't know what was it called, Jalango TV.
Yeah, I remember.
There was an interview, then Ruto told him that, come, we push the wheelbarrow.
I remember.
I think there is a personal friendship between Ruto and Jalango, but Jalango has to at some point obey Raila Odinga because of the stronghold and being a Luo and such things. But at the same time, you cannot push away your friend just because you have loyalty with someone else. It's a very difficult balance for Jalango because when you visit State House, you cannot make it private.
Yeah.
I know they can, but because it was a developmental something, you cannot keep it from the media. So I know from the heart of Jalango, he was praying that if it was kept secret,
why not for the
better
media?
For him. Yeah, were it not for the media. So I think Raila should understand that the time for politics will come, and I know for sure that Jalango will go to Raila's side. When it comes to the PG, I understand that there is a PG meeting, I don't know, today or tomorrow, parliamentary group meeting for the ODM and Azimio. And if there is a bill sponsored by the government and there is a vote between the majority and the minority, when now it comes to a point that Jalango will vote for the majority, that is the government, that is when we can say that truly Jalango has betrayed the party that sponsored him to the parliament.
Alex, do you think Jalango is a good independent leader? I know there is this crowd thinking that we as members of Azimio, we have to follow what Baba has to say. But he has the independent thinking of, I want to work for my people as long as I'm behind this Azimio court, I have to work for my people. Do you think that is the direction Jalango is moving?
Number one, if I was to argue from a point of independent leader, when Chebukati announced the results and the Supreme Court came with their proceedings and they affirmed that it was this person who had won, Jalango was among the first politicians to move to Raila's side and support Raila. So I think Jalango is the perfect example of Kenyans, you know, most of Kenyans follow self-interest. I'm very sure even our politicians, most of them, they align themselves to a certain party based on their self-interest. Jalango knows he has to maintain his good image in public. He has to maintain a good record of developments in his constituency. So he has to align himself to the side that he thinks he will gain most. But let's see how it goes.
But let us look at there's a point you said before that Jalango is moving in because he's aligning with the government in place because he really wants a win-win situation for him and his constituents. You see, that is why he's going, because somebody, you said it, that if you're in opposition, it's hard for you to get more funds and more other than the CDF funding and stuff. You see? So he has to go extra mile and create a good friendship so that in case of anything, his constituents are gonna really benefit. So because if you're in opposition and then you full opposition, you are limited to a lot of government resources, is it? Yeah. Can we look at that? Can we look at that from that angle?
Yes, and there are a lot of things, and Raila knows, because it is Raila who gave the idea of allowing governors to meet with the president, to work with the national government, knowing very well he has been in government. He was a prime minister. He has been in the government, almost every government that has been there in this country. So he knows very well that when you are not with the government, there is less that you can benefit from. We are all human beings. These are people that, if they are your friends, they'll help you more. And another angle that I was looking at it from is that we are not members of ODM. We don't know what is happening inside ODM unless they come to the public to tell us. We are looking at the issue of Mbadi. We are looking at Junet and Joho being lost in the show. And Jalango is wise. I know he has advisors. And Raila, for now, when it comes to 2027 politics, maybe someone else will come to take over when it comes to, maybe he will have a say in the ODM, but they'll have to look for someone else who will be hard enough more than him. And for Nairobi, maybe the government of the place will have dominated, including Lang'ata. You saw so many young people in Nairobi saying that Raila ametutumia, it is time for Raila to allow us do some things and do some other things. We saw William Ruto going to Homa Bay, going to Siaya for development, and he received a very warm reception. And that tells you that if people in Nyanza can do that, what about in Nairobi? We are being scared of loyalty between Raila and Jalango in just a constituency in Nairobi. The president has the power to consolidate Nairobi County as a whole by 2027, that you will have more votes in every county in Nairobi, because you cannot rule people all the time. Some people say, and I know Azimio people will not like it, the way I say, you can lie to all the people all the time, but some people you cannot lie to them all the time. So that is what I have to say.
Alex, what is your view on that?
I have a thought. If you look at Sakaja, you see Sakaja, and there is another BZMP from Yatta. Was it Yatta? Then there is Jalango. It's a new era of leaders who are more open-minded. There was a time Sakaja and Gachagua, there were some differences that were starting to rise. Sakaja had admitted that Gachagua is his friend, but when it comes to policies, they are tending to differ. It shows leaders who are starting to emerge. They don't affiliate themselves to a certain leader based on the loyalty that the communities expect. They are aligning themselves to a certain side based on what they expect and what they promise to deliver to their people. So that's my take on that.
About this all politics thing, do you think right now Raila can create the revolution that he used to? Does he still have the power and the support that he had, or are people just doing? Growing up, I've heard stories about Raila and stuff. We've all heard, but right now, if you look at what is coming with age, you find that young people have opened their eyes, and these days it's not about the violence. We don't even want it anymore. You see, do you think he can create a revolution that will change the government with this government?
Raila will have to study the dynamics of people. If we look at problems that were facing Kenyans back then, things have changed. The challenges that we are expecting today, some of them they've evolved. Unless now Raila sits down and he strategies like Ruto, he identifies what are the challenges that are facing Kenyans under this new leadership. Then he sits down and starts thinking, how can I start promising solutions for these problems? He'll now start sounding more relevant to the new people. But unless he brings challenges that are affecting people at this time, it will be so hard to control people from this trend of giving up from his affiliation as it has started to appear.
Yes.
Are you going to go on that?
Yes. What I think is that you cannot fight the economic freedom the way we were fighting physical freedom, that people are being detained and such.
Yeah.
And at some point, Raila has lost touch with the common mwananchi because we are facing a lot of problems. The economy is so high, people cannot even afford a meal in a day. And the problem comes with the issue of hypocrisy in Raila's side. That once Raila Odinga was in government from 2018 to 2022, when the handshake thing came, we never had Raila talking about the things that he's raising right now. So some people cannot leave their jobs to go to demonstrate simply because when Raila was in the government, we call it he was in the bedroom. He slept with the current president, that was Uhuru Kenyatta. And we can view it at a point of self-interest or selfish interest in Raila's side, because when he was in the government, he was not able to articulate or even call for demonstrations. But right now, when he's outside the government, he's raising the issues. So I can say that Raila has more of selfish interest than what he says in the public.
I think that is true because looking at this, all the government is been given a fair share. And when he goes in, there's nothing that comes out of importance to the common mwananchi from him. He only goes there, he gets, he aligns with them, and then he enjoys the benefits that comes with the nusumkate that he gets. But at the end of the day, you find that there's nothing that is going to happen, nothing is going to change. He's not going to call out for the demonstrations, or he's not going to push the government that he is in to deliver the promises that he even wanted as the opposition. So I also think it's more of a personal gain than fight for the people. Because growing up, we've always known that he was, but when he goes there, when he gets it, nothing happens, nothing changes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's more of personal interest. Now, before we guys go, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and even share. We bring to you guys more episodes of this, and make sure you stay tuned.